In the last 2 weeks or so, when this item became known, I think many of us were approached by our constituents and others and going over a lot of different aspects. From the way I look at it, and I'd like to get it confirmed, regardless of whether marijuana was legal on a federal level or on a state level for recreation use, consumption, or whatever, we would still be here. The issue before us boils down more to a matter of how we as a community are going to deal with one another and how to respect and honor our respective neighbors. And it wouldn't matter to the extent of the other laws. We still have to deal with this. This is why we as a city council and a local government, we exist as a city. I mean, we are not a rural environment where the next ranch is 40 miles away. And even though there's some winds will cover. I mean, anyone who's been downwind of New Jersey will know that. But nevertheless, the issue before us, and I wish to remind us that we really have to deal with a community problem. We have to deal with a neighbor versus neighbor in an urban and suburban environment. And that the issue really is not the legalization, it's not constitutional law, it's not Proposition 215 or whatever. It's what do we do with each other when we go home and we want to sleep or we want to do something else? How do we take care of our neighbors and our neighborhoods, and at what point does your rights extend to my nose? I have to again return to the original issue here, which is, quite frankly, when does your rights interfere with your neighbors? It has been talked about here as how can we interfere with an odor? You cannot light up a cigarette within 4 blocks of Todos Santos because you, the people, insisted that your rights end at our noses. This is basically a similar situation where we are getting into a case where the growing of a product, and it wouldn't matter whether, for me, it wouldn't matter whether it was marijuana or the kale plant in Hawaii, which smells like a sewer. All right? It's the same thing. All right? We have to be good neighbors. And I would like to point out for those that I have been approached in the last couple of weeks by multiple people in the community, one of which is a very nice little lady who has this situation 12 feet from her bedroom. So it is not an individual issue. It was to the credit of the individual that the issue came forth. But this is something that we all have to face. I believe that we need to have some kind of resolution in regard to backyard growing because it's the right thing to do for the community. It's the right thing to do for your neighbor, and it does not get us involved in the legalities of it. So that's number one and number two. Number three, in the process, we have explored, we meaning myself and people I've talked, about other possibilities. And there are valid claims that this particular medicinal product is too expensive, but this is not. We are not here within our capacity to change that. And we have no support for a closer medical marijuana dispensary, or do we have support for legalization or something that would drive down the prices? Nor are we in control of the economics. But we are in control to the extent that we have been empowered by yourselves to mitigate your problems in dealing with your neighbors. And therefore, I would suggest that we look into the possibility of restricting it from outdoors. Maybe the idea is if you have 30, 40 acres, you can get away with it. I don't know. I do not think so. But I would put it in for an urban arrangement for us, for this city, that we restrict it from outdoors. I would also like to look at and ask for some more information about indoor growing, particularly not in the light of a home, but we are urban, we are the largest city in the county. We have to start thinking like it. If we pass an ordinance that allows indoor growing, which seems a reasonable compromise, but we need to address the issue of what do we do with apartments and condominiums. One of my constituents who approached me on this issue, who is a big supporter of medical marijuana and legalization, said that she would go crazy if her neighbor in an apartment complex was growing it because they share ventilation systems. We already have this problem with tobacco. All right? So this is a little bit of a minefield, but I would ask in my request for directions of staff to explore, first, the reasonable banning of it outdoors, and second, how to deal with the issue of indoors. And I look forward to the time when this community and our state and our nation will come to their senses on this subject, which will allow for the reduction in both the price and the accessibility for those in need. But that's not the issue here. Thank you.